Today I will discuss BGP synchronization rule. The BGP synchronization rule requires that when a BGP router receives information about a network from a BGP neighbor, it does not use that information until a matching route is learned via an IGP or static route. It also does not advertise that route to an EBGP neighbor unless a matching route is in the routing table. Um, Recent iOS versions have synchronization disabled by default. It is usually safe to turn off synchronization when all routers in the BGP in the autonomous system run BGP. To turn it off in earlier versions, iOS versions use the command no synchronization under BGP router configuration mode. Also, the disablement disable disablement disablement of this feature can allow you to carry fewer routes in your IGP and allow BGP to converge more quickly. So I have listed three couple of tasks here. Um, we have three main tasks. So one is check BGP behavior when synchronization is disabled. Of course, this is by default, like I just read there here. And number two is check BGP behavior when synchronization is enabled, and disable back BGP synchronization. Let me just remove that and check and ensure R4 is installing that route into its routing table and advertising it to R5. So this is the topology that I'm going to use in this video. Um, let me just explain a bit. So I have R1 in AS1, R5 in AS5, and R2, R3, R4 in ES234. Of course, they have IBGP neighborships between them. And of course, you can see the transit networks between the routers. And I'm just advertising this IP address into BGP. So let me go back to the tasks. Okay, so check BGP behavior when synchronization is disabled. Of course, this is by default again. So I'm going to log in to R4 and issue the following commands. You know what? Let me just show you the configurations of R1. So as you can see here, I'm just advertising this IP address. This is the IP address on the loopback interface here. And of course, it is /32 here. And of course, R1 and R2 has an IBGP peering. I mean EBGP peering, and R4 and R5 has an EBGP peering as well. And if I go to R2, I should see that I am learning this route via this router, which is R1, is here, 10.10.12.1. And if I go to R3, I am also learning that route via R2. And if I go to R4, hold on, R2, Let me just go back to R2. Of course, that route is in BGP, is in routing table as well, in the routing table, and also on R1, I mean R3, yeah, in routing table as well. And R4, it's receiving the route via R2. So we have a full mesh connection or neighborships between these routers in AS234. And of course, I should also see that in the routing table, which I do here. Okay, so go back here. Yeah, so as you can see, I have basically used these commands on, on R1, I mean these routers here, R2, R3, R4, not just R4, based on the task here. And of course, we can use this command. This is to check the routes that we are advertising to R5. So this is the IP address of R5, as you can see here. So I'm going to R5 in just now, R4. Okay, so you can see that I'm advertising that route. So this rule here is not being applied at the moment because hold on, this here it's not applied at the moment because synchronization is disabled. Actually, all of this is not applied at the moment because, like it says here as well that recent iOS have synchronization disabled by default. So this is all true. This is all true on these routers. Okay, so looks like we have verified the BGP behavior when synchronization is disabled. And I have a note here that says R4 puts R2 in its routing table, BGP and routing table. Yeah, and is advertising it. Oops. And is advertising it even if R4 does not have an IGP path to it. So you can see that R4 is actually learning this route via IBGP, not an IGP like OSPF or RIP or ERGRP or via a static route. And you can also check that. You can use that command also. So yeah, we are learning it via BGP. Okay. Number two, check BGP behavior when synchronization is enabled. So now we can actually verify if this is true here, this is statement. So I'm going to enable it on R4. So I can just copy and paste this command here. And verify it. Now it is enabled. So hold on. So we can actually add this command. Show. There's a better command. This one here. So I'm going to reset BGP session on R4. So I'm going to issue that command. And Next is check if R4 stopped installing this route into the BGP routing table and it stopped advertising it to R5. So we can actually check that by using this command. Oops. Let's copy and paste. So it looks like it's not working yet. Yeah, let me actually, looks like that command is not working. Still here. Let me do this command. Just to reset BGP session, not just soft. Okay, so I still see that route into the BGP table, but not not in the routing table. So stop installing into the routing table. Okay. Check if R4 stop installing that command, that route into the routing table and stop advertising it to R5. So can just it's in the BGP table, but it's not it's not a it's not the best route anymore. So it's not in the routing table anymore, right? So yeah, here. So if it's not in the routing table, I should not be advertising it to R5, so which is correct here. Into in not so check if R5 stop installing route into the routing table and it's not the best. So it's not the best path and not a not the best path in the BGP table. Okay. So check if R4 stopped installing route into the routing table, not in the best path in the BGP table, and stop advertising it to R5. Okay. And it's not. Okay, so we're done with that with letter B. So what we can actually, so to make this work, uh, to learn for R4 to learn route via IGP, redistribute prefix into OSPF on R2. Oh, okay, so this is here, already here. Okay, so I will remove this. So redistribute prefix into OSPF and R2. So R4 will learn that route via IGP. Okay, so I'm going to just copy and paste this command here. Let me do this first. Going to R2 and then OSPF 1 redistribute BGP 234 route map, and the route map name is this. Okay, so let's check OSPF. What are the commands that we can use here? OSPF neighbors. Okay. See if still via BGP. I'm learning it via BGP on R2. How about R3? Okay, I'm learning it via OSPF now on R3. Yeah, it's still in the BGP table. And on R4, I should be learning it via OSPF as well. So issue commands below to check if R4 is now installing route this route into its routing table and is advertising it to R5. So of course, if we go to R4, we see that this is the best route, but yeah, but of course, RIB failure because we are learning it via OSPF. So this is the admin distance of OSPF. So OSPF wins in this case. That's why we have this route in the routing table, not BGP. And now we can check if we are advertising that route to R5, and we are. And we can actually go to R5 and see if we are learning that route. Yeah, we are learning that route now via R4 here. Okay, so last task is this: disable BGP synchronization and ensure R4 is installing route uh, into its routing table and is advertising it to R5. Okay, so I'm going to disable synchronization on R4, which is this is the command here. I can just copy and paste and just verify it. Okay, now it's disabled, and I'm also going to remove the redistribute command in other related configurations on R2. Okay, so I'm going to R2 and of course that can actually verify that by doing that command. Okay, we still have that command here, which I can do that. Complete command. Okay, now we can verify the OSPF configuration. So we don't have, oh, we still have it. So let me move it. Okay, done. OSPF. Now it's gone. So now we can um, actually let me just remove the soft because that didn't work earlier. Let me actually if it will work now. Let me go to R4 and okay, and check if we have that route into. Okay, so we see this route here. It's valid and best. So it should now be in the routing table as well. Okay, so we don't see the route via OSPF anymore. It's like, I mean, as we saw earlier. So now we should be advertising that route again to R5. Yes. Hold on. Yeah, advertising it to R5, but we are learning it via R2. So if we go to R5, we still see it in the routing table and BGP table. And we can also ping it. Okay, so now we have connectivity between R1 and R5. So R1 all the way to R5. And of course, these are the references that used learned to learn BGP synchronization rule. Okay, that's it in this video. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.